Okay. Welcome to Stacking the Deck. The Kurt Cresswell edition, everyone.
Curtain House.
Yeah.
Truck.
Yeah. We needed a third party here, an intermediary to either light up, or I guess he could light us up too. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So it's been a while since we've done this podcast thing. I think I forgot how to do it, but it's mostly talking into microphones and speculating on cardboard and other sort of tangentially. I don't know. It's some marketing stuff and it's some cardboard stuff. I feel like that's where we've been at in the past. So, Easton, how you been?
Been good. You know, just kind of chilling. It's the summertime, and I feel like it's a little bit interesting. It's interesting because this is uncharted territory. Because normally we have like a set card game or getting ready for something, and right now it's just like no man's land. So yeah, but it's all good. It's spending time with family, and just vibing out, chilling for the most part. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm still looking for a reason to live, but I guess my family's good enough for now.
Golly.
Little James is all.
Kidding.
Little James is the only thing keeping you going.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Good night.
All the card games. No, it's still Goat, Yugioh, and Bar Locals with Kurt over here. Yeah,
That's right.
It was fun cooking them yesterday.
Wasn't
that a good time?
We didn't have to just start with being cooked at Bar Locals, man. It's only a 2-man event.
Okay. Well, Kurt, tell us about your life a little bit. What have you been up to?
Oh man, well, I've been doing lots of great stuff. Currently, I'm kicking myself by not going to Gen Con. I wish I did get tickets and get an affordable flight, but we're here. We're coping. We're trying our best to not miss out too much on all the cool indie card games like Sorcery and Neopets. So,
yeah, cool card games like Sorcery for sure.
Oh, and Neopets. You forgot the Neopets one.
Definitely Sorcery.
No, wait. Are we starting with? I got to get the 411 about Neopets. Yay, nay.
Yay. Well, man, I don't know. The game itself is fun, and I was into Neopets at one time when I was just a mere child before the internet was truly ruined. It's the association with furries that makes me a little like,
You just gotta separate the personal from the professional, man. You're there to play cards. You're not there to admire,
I will say
animals.
this. I think like if you're into like the whole competing in indie TCGs and you think there's like stonks and essentially like prize cards, this is one of those games that I could see like this first set. If you go to a tournament and you get a prize card, you could make some money selling it on eBay for sure. Like that doesn't like.
Do they have tournaments?
So not yet. I've been talking to the lead dev quite a bit over Discord and in their little Neopets Discord where they have rules and stuff like that. Not yet, but what they do have is organized play packs. They are doing that off rip.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. I mean, come on. It's obvious. Like that's just what you should do.
Right. And so the cool part about that is they're doing that off rip. You can order them from your Upper Deck distributor, and the set list has already been spoiled, and it's actually playable cards as well that are being reprinted in these packs as like full art promos. So they're doing good stuff. I think their first like big tournament's going to be at Gen Con. So we'll see how that wraps up. But as far as local level play, all the pieces are there. They're developing their own play network. They're not going to use a white label. They're doing it all in-house, which I thought was pretty cool. And it's exciting stuff for sure.
What's the liquidity looking like on the cards or anything like that? What we looking at?
So it's just to break down. First, we got to break down the booster box, right? So, so the booster box comes with 24 packs. You get 8 cards in a pack, and 2 of those cards are foil. Okay, you get 2 ultra rares per box. You get a painted Neopet that's like textured in full art, and then you get
Ribbed.
one of 5 ultra rares. Yeah, ribbed. Of those 5 ultra rares, 4 of them are fairly valuable. They're very playable. It's an upper deck, IP. They know that the most powerful things need to be the rarest things, so you buy the most boxes.
Yeah. Okay.
So the ultra rares are very playable, which is a good and a bad thing. There's not really anybody that's stocking it in card stores, at least around, of course, my only experience is around the Dallas area.
Right.
But in the DFW area, there isn't anyone that's stocking these Neopets boxes. And I've even approached the major card stores saying like, hey, are you guys going to get this? It seems like a pretty good idea. Most people in our age range, especially, female identifying people in our age range, they played Neopets as a kid. So it's a good counter sitter, right? Like you see a Neopets card game and it's $4 a pack. Maybe I'll buy one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Kuromi's Cryptid Carnival, but for something that's actually familiar.
Exactly. For something that, like, if you've been a nerd for a while, or just, again, someone who's been on the internet, chances are about Neopets. So it's I don't know, it's shaping up to be pretty cool. And I don't know, Ed played it. We played it for what, an hour last night.
It was good fun. Like the game, it would be hard to be really I reckon there is ways to be competitive with it, but the ceiling always caps you at like the level of chance. And now in any card game you play ever, like there's always like there is a statistical, like you could be playing the same deck and you just might not draw out the same. So
right.
But this is a dice game through and through. It's chaotic as hell.
It takes it to an even higher level, because not only are you playing a card game where the cards that you draw affect the outcome of the game, but now also your dice rolls affect the outcome of the game. And I know Easton's like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah, I'm like,
so the attacking phase, the battle phase of your turn, you roll dice, and that determines how many points of damage you deal to your opponent's Neopet.
Oh heck no! Oh heck no!
So you can roll up to 10 dice, and if you roll a four or higher on any of those dice, that's a point of damage to your opponent's Neopet. Now they roll dice based on their defense whenever they're defending, and any 4 or higher blocks one of those damage. So that's the back and forth. But in essence, it is just a pure dice roll game.
Yeah, and then the cards you draw are modifiers based on the dice roll.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more dice you roll, or you get to the dice are basically more dice you roll to attack, more dice you roll to block, or the ability to re-roll. That's really it.
So it's not a very skill intensive game.
So okay, on the surface level, no. But there are some pretty complex concepts. There are counter spells in the game. So
yeah, there is a hand trap. There was hand traps.
Yeah, there are hand traps in the game. Those hand traps can, vary anywhere from just drawing a card to countering a card that your opponent plays on their turn to countering the counter spell that your opponent would play. So there's depth in that, and it's pretty. I will reserve. I really hope, Ed, that you reserve your judgment on it until I build out some decks, because spoiler alert, I dropped the cash. I bought an entire playset of the first set so that I can build whatever I want, because I am the NDTCG stonker. I will come to your 40-man tournament and try and make money. I bought in, and I think it'll be one of those nice, fun, soft games that I can roll dice really well and
a soft player pool.
Exactly. and make money off my golden walkie pet. That's serialized.
There is, I don't know if we've said this before on here, but there is like the credence, like when these new, I don't know if I would call it an indie TCG like Neopets, but let's just say they're in the indie TCG realm. When these new games come out, the ability to stonk them, especially from like a player incentive, right? So like if they're giving out prize cards and that player pool is going to be a little soft, then by all means go in and spike it, right, and try to get some sort of EV on those.
Cash in.
I know that, I know what I'm saying sounds kind of slimy, but
I mean,
like let's call it like
Look,
it is,
Look,
right?
it happened to us when we were kids. I'll trade you your 10 shiny cards for your Charizard, and we did it every time. So come on, you got to do it.
I guess purely from like a monetary side, it sounds a little slimy, but at the end of the day, I do it because I just like playing card games.
I like playing card games too, but at the same time, there's always like like the goblin part of my brain that's like, well, by winning this and selling this, I'm at least like net even on buying into this game.
Well, I mean, isn't that the goal of any hobby? Is that you at least break
No,
even?
no, because those hobbies like barbecue and things like that, you never break even.
You never break even.
Well, whenever you're eating your prize support in that brisket that you smoke, that's not. I mean, that's.
I'm
not
just
fair.
saying this TCGs and stuff. This is different. This is different. Still in your mind, you're cracking open that magic ruler or that spell ruler box yesterday, and we're cracking those cards, and I know you're over here calculating. You're like,
oh, 100%.
Am I breaking even on this?
Every
so that's what I'm saying. Let's not try to hide behind, hey, I'm here to have fun. Having fun that's good. That's part of it. But you wanna break even.
Yeah, I think it really kind of breaks down to just like a deep-seated gambling addiction that we all were kind of indoctrinated in as children in the form of opening booster packs.
That's right. For sure. But I just think it just rolls into our most millennials and fiscal responsibility, and we're kind of degenerates at that in every aspect of our lives in some capacity. So I don't know. I just think that it's like this is just another exasperation of that, you know.
Yeah, it's a scratch. They're like scratch offs, cracking packs. That's what it feels like. It's like
it's so true, right? Because you're like, well, I could buy 10 scratch offs for $100 and maybe win 1,000, or I could just buy that pool that I wanted to get for $400. Yeah, but I could spend that $400 on scratch offs and make my money.
I would love to see the Venn diagram of the millennials that are in the TCG world, and like what percentage of them have frequented or like go to casinos or do some form of like actual gambling, whether it's sports betting or
gotta be 100%, right?
I don't know, but surely I'd at least say 50%. That seems like a fair.
I think that's very low.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. There you go. But it's totally a gambling thing to some extent. And don't get me wrong. Like, and that's the thing too. Gambling's gaming, right? It is gaming.
It really is.
There's game theory behind it, and obviously you want to increase your odds and chances of success. But I just think that the issue with trading card enthusiasts when it comes to like opening up packs and cards and all this other stuff is that there's like a emotional connection. And the problem is with you get to gambling, it's almost you have to do well. You have to be unemotional. But they're like, oh, this is my first injection fairy lily or blue eyes white dragon, and you're like, I'm holding on to this for life, or I'm trading this for this, and that's what it kind of deteriorates your I guess game theory or some of your thoughts when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean it depends on like all things. It's a spectrum for sure in more ways than one.
maybe it just all boils down to like how exposed you are to chasing that dopamine hit. You know, once you open your first injection fairy lily or your first Charizard card, that feeling is so like just breathtaking, and then you just spend the rest of your life trying to chase comparable highs to that, right?
Well, that's what they call. Isn't that what they say like about heroin addicts? They're chasing the dragon. That's literally TCG players. They're chasing. The dragon is either Charizard or Blue Eyes White Dragon. But either way, they're chasing that dragon.
That's it. But yeah, Neopets, man.
Okay, so lots of die rolls, potential good OP. There isn't really a card market yet, but it's budding. So something that we can like look at and see about the future.
Oh yeah, I'm monitoring the market myself because even though I did buy into a full playset, of course I want to try and convert that initial investment into money, right?
See,
And the market's healthy. The market's I got okay. I don't know why y'all are trying to say I got you. You're like,
no, I'm just
Like,
saying.
it's like I
I'm
did it
just
for the love
saying
of the
you did-
game.
yeah,
I did it for the love of the game.
It is for the love of the game, but it's nice to make back some of that money that you spent.
yeah, because part of the game is the gambling.
Yeah.
Listen, man, Mom shouldn't have bought me that fossil pack whenever I was 7 years old at the Toys R Us. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And that's such like that's kind of a new thing, I think, right? Like when parents were buying their kids Pokemon packs. Or I don't know. Yeah. Like I can't think of a time prior to when parents and families were doing that. Maybe baseball cards. I
Yeah,
don't know.
sports cards. Like
Yeah.
prior to that, like sports cards have been around forever, right? I'm sure you can ask your parents and have them say, "Oh, didn't you go to the convenience store and get a pack of baseball cards and it had a piece of gum in it?" And you're like, "Oh, cool! I got the Babe Ruth or whatever," right? Like it's been around for quite a while, but it kind of got normalized. I guess not really normalized, but like marketed towards children.
That exactly.
Hardcore
Hardcore
trauma.
Right. I think that kind of happened sort of in like the late 80s, 90s, stuff like that, and it just so happened that we were all born around that time, but you just kind of got into it. I've never heard the stories of like my dad or like someone who's 40 or what have you, like saying, "Oh man, I always got to buy that pack of baseball cards. Whenever I go to the store, I always got to get a pack of football cards." It's like, nah, but boy, you tell somebody about a pack of Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards around our age.
Do you think it had to roll into with the card? Well, not only the card game, but the TV show and
100%.
I think that also layered into it because the sports games you could almost chase it high by like going to an actual sporting event and be like, "Oh, I saw when they did a no-hitter." Whereas in Pokemon, like you're like, I remember watching the TV show and playing the game and collecting the cards. Yeah. I remember when I traded my first edition Charizard for 10 shiny cards. Like you can remember those memories. So maybe so.
But when you think about it, right, like with Pokemon, they never really marketed the card game, right? It was always just a byproduct. In the show, they don't play with the cards.
True.
It was more video game focused, and then the cards were just kind of a companion product that still makes a $1 gazillion. Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, they're playing the cards, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh messed me up. Yu-Gi-Oh messed me up. I liked Pokemon growing up, but I was into Yu-Gi-Oh, like local. Like I wasn't going to like the card shop to play Pokemon. Like I got some cards from my friend's mom, and she was like, "Oh, you guys helped around the house. Here's some cards or whatever." Cool, but something clicked with you. I don't know what it was. It was like, holy smokes!
It's a little edgy. Yu-Gi-Oh had a little edge to it.
Yeah, the more mature theme than just like cuddly little creatures that you can collect and battle with. I think that's probably it. It was cool, right? You're 10, 11, 12 whenever you really got into Yu-Gi-Oh, and you're like, "Oh, look at that guy. He's like a skull. He's like there's flesh. Oh, that girl's got a nice chest. Oh, I like that one."
It's crazy to me because my eBay account, I started an eBay account in 2003. And one of the very first things I sold, I still have that account, like it's the same account. One of the first things I sold on it was a Dark Magician Girl. And I remember I was like, I pulled the Dark Magician Girl from whatever pack, and I was like, this card sucks. and I sold it for $50. I thought I was I was in the card economy, baby. I was like, oh man, these things are worth money. And then I told my parents about it. I said, listen, if you buy me this pack, I can make $50. All right. And that was like almost the pitch. That never worked.
$50.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh man.
I remember paying like $40 for United We Stand too, as a back $40 $2003, but I justified it because I was like, well, I sold Dark Magician Girl for $50. I mean, God.
That's
wow, you're
net game.
already thinking about it, huh?
Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny how that just like, I don't know, totally it's just unintentionally just gets baked into the way you think about the card games. You're like, well, if I do this for this much money and then this much money, then I'm breaking even on this. But then if I buy more into this, then oh man, that's funny.
I had to log into my eBay account. I've had an account since 2008, so close enough.
All right. Yeah. Man, so I guess going back to Gen Con a little bit, I know that's been like a big conversation point. I've heard some news about sorcery. I don't know if you want to pivot towards sorcery at all. Is there anything else you got on Neopets?
No, other than play Neopets.
Play
The
Neopets.
more people that play it, the more expensive the cards get, and the more people show up to events so that I can take their money.
Fantastic. I appreciate the transparency. That's really what this is about.
Kurt's coming out and saying, "I'm going to spike these events."
And I'm going to play funny little creatures that I remember clicking on as a kid. So I'm down for that.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember Chombi. I remember Chombi from the original.
I hear this Chombi.
Yeah. They need to bring the dinosaur back into the game.
That's all I heard all last night. Where's Chombi? Give me Chombi. Come on, man.
I don't know any of the other characters. I need the one that I like remember to make that connection.
Chombi.
Oh man. So sorcery at Gen Con. That's the next one. I heard their next set's coming out too. It's like October 4th or October, something like that.
November will be their second set. Gen Con is pretty significant in the sense that they usually hold the like one tournament a year that the company sponsors, quote unquote. Up until this point, all of the sorcery major events have all been grassroots. They've all been run by just people that want to organize the game, are passionate about the game. I've been to Seattle, and then I've been to the one here in Dallas. But they were supported by the company, but not really put on by the company, right? And Gen Con is their sort of, okay, we're going to put on a constructed tournament so that you can win prizes. And this is us putting it on, and not just someone else doing it. So Gen Con's always really big in the TCG space for a couple of games. You get those indie TCGs, but then also Lorcana is also really big at Gen Con. Famously, at the last Gen Con, you were able to pick up. This was the first chance to pick up like Lorcana booster boxes, which those things were stonking like crazy. You could sit in a line for 2 hours and buy a $140 box of Lorcana, and someone would buy it from you at the end of the line for $300. So it was pretty intense. They were also giving out, of course, promo cards and things like that. I know people that would go and change clothes and just get back in the line to get more promos. And just run that. That was their Gen Con for a day, was just filtering the line to get promos. It really reminds me of, like, although I didn't really participate in most of it, but with MetaZoo in all those different tournaments of just the waiting in line simulator to get those promos, man.
Shout out to Ted.
Golly. Back to sorcery though. They're holding this tournament. Anytime they get a booth, a lot of eyes are on sorcery, right? Because they're trying to do things right, and I think they're doing things right, but they're doing things a lot slower than what is typical. They're not pumping out a set every 3 months. They're doing one set a year. We're saying, hey, we're going to give you 500 cards to play with for 12 months, and that's what you got. And you might think that sort of generates and invites in a stale meta because you kind of figure it out and everyone just plays the same thing. And that's not really been the case, because there hasn't been too many majors that people are going to like stonk these cards, stonk these decks. So it's really good, I think, at least for a casual player, maybe someone that plays card games, but also a casual player. You don't feel as bad if you bring some like wacky concept that no one's ever seen, because chances are most people haven't seen it, and you'll do well. So it's pretty cool. But Gen Con is usually where they make a big showcase. A lot of and again, gosh, you guys are just going to catch me in me trying to do the value stuff again and again, but this is where all their like exclusive items come from, right? So you go to Gen Con. I didn't pick up my tickets because Sorcery, I forget their company name, Sorcery didn't get a booth initially for Gen Con. Well, no booth, no product, no exclusive stuff.
Then what's the point?
Why go, right? Oh, and then suddenly a couple of weeks ago, guys, we got a booth. Oh, well, thanks. Now that plane tickets are $500 and hotels are all sold out, now they've suddenly got a booth. So that's that was kind of sad, but it is what it is. But yeah, sorcery is what I was looking forward to. Sorcery and Neopets, at least at Gen Con for me. I know people go there for like board games and other stuff.
I can do that for LGS.
Yeah, I can do that down the road. I can go buy a board. I can go buy Monopoly down the road. But,
we got Monopoly at home.
That's right. But I can't buy a sorcery alpha binder for $60 and sell it for $300.
Yeah.
Down the road. So,
and that's the thing though, like, all right, it's quick and easy and it's funny to maybe spin this as like, oh, I'm just trying to get my money, but like you want to pay for, again, it's all about at least kind of like that break even cost with your travel expenses, even when you're grinding out tournaments, right? You at least want to like, did I cover my room and board and my the cost of the tickets to get here? So it's not really as smarmy as it may sound. It's just kind of funny to joke about that, but I have to throw that out there for people that might not pick up on that at all either, because even just from when I was doing the MetaZoo events and stuff, like whether I made money or not, I still, I could afford to go to the events, but in the back of my head I'm always like, let's at least like
it's nice not to pay for them.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that all? At least again for card players, my motto in playing cards is I just want to play for free. That's going to the events, buying the cards, buying the accessories, enjoying the hobby. If I don't have to spend money doing it, then I've done well for myself. So,
and that's worth sharing to people too. It's like, if done right, if you've research and you're kind of familiar with what you're buying into, to some extent this can be a self-sustaining hobby, right? So you ideally what you buy, you can break even, whereas a lot of hobbies, again, I use barbecue as an example, even cars, like if you're into repairing cars, I've been a car guy before. It's you want to talk about burning money? That's one hobby you can just piss it away in. So I don't know.
All the term they use, a labor of love.
Yes, a labor of love.
Not of making your money back.
No, not at all.
Right.
So anyhow, it's exciting to hear about Sorcery's next set. I've enjoyed, despite what you might think, Kurt, I still enjoy playing Sorcery. The one thing about it for me that puts me, I don't want to say put me off, but like I don't want to buy into the current prices right now, knowing there's not really like an OP scene, again, an organized play scene for me to play into that I could get, conceivably prize cards.
Trying to get a return on your investment. Oh,
yes.
And you're coming after me.
Yeah.
You won't even enter at the local level.
Yeah,
the lowest stakes. Like, I'm not spending $100 if I can't make $100 my first event.
Yep.
Medicine spoiled us.
Dude, it messed us up.
I'm used to not making money in Pokemon, so this was a nice surprise whenever I could turn a profit on some games. So
shout out Pokemon for even offering cash prizes at their nationals right
now, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Whenever I was good in Pokemon, you just got booster boxes. No money, none of that. You just got booster boxes.
What Yu-Gi-Oh needs to come off the whole like you get a playmat thing. Like nobody wants that funky old playmat. I'm sorry. Like
I'll never get Yu-Gi-Oh players because they just do it for the love of the game. Like
they gotta. I mean, come on.
They're making no money.
No money. I was an idiot. Like we used to literally go to regionals and SJCs and have like $50 to our name for the whole weekend. 20 of that is going towards the tournament entry. So I have $30 to survive for 3 days.
Yep.
How in the hell did I do that? And that was so irresponsible.
That's like McDonald's 2 of the days, and then you get like a convention slice of pizza. And that was the meal. Yeah. That was the whole. Forget buying cards. You might be able to sell cards there to make a little bit of money, but like that was it. Oh, I've been there too. I've been there with Pokemon, cramming 6 people in a motel room, and all driving in one stinky car, and oh man, it's
you get home, your parents like, did you have fun? Yeah,
that's the question every time. Did you have fun? Well, if I didn't, I wouldn't be going to them, Mom. So,
well, good.
Man.
I'm happy for you.
I still get asked that by my parents whenever I go to any. I'm 32 years old.
Yeah.
I call my mom. Well, did you have fun?
Yeah. She's like, she just remembers. She's like, yeah, this is great babysitting. Free.
Oh my God, man.
She's like, I just sent him to the shop or to regionals and God knows where.
100%.
He was fine for the weekend.
Yep. My parents, I'm telling you, they were going through a divorce, and I was a card shop kid. I was like, oh, we're gonna drop him off. He's got cards. I didn't think about it like that back then, but now I think about it, I'm like, holy smokes, they just dropped me off there all day, like all day.
They're fucking kids.
Yeah, but you were so happy that they let you stay at the card shop all day.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. It was next to a Little Caesars pizza, so the whole day I'd buy one hot and ready, and you'd eat off that, and then maybe buy one booster pack at the shop. Yeah. And that was like kind of a stretch. That was like, but that was a great day. Like we got one pack, got a hot and ready, and I've been there for like 10 hours.
Employees are looking at you like, dude, when
are you going home?
Where are your parents?
I say, I don't know, because I didn't have a cell phone. Like no way to contact. They just, whenever they get here, they get here.
Gosh.
Yeah, those were the days.
I wish I had that kid in a card shop experience. There were no card shops where I grew up. We went to Hastings, the video rental and bookstore.
But they had like a league.
Oh yeah. We had Pokemon League whenever I was just starting, getting into my gambling addiction, known as card games.
Yes.
Pokemon League, and then that evolved into a Yu-Gi-Oh League, and it was just a bunch of kids. There were no adults. There was no like organized play. It was just a bunch of kids meeting up for 4 hours, 12 to 4 every Sunday.
And some sad employee reluctantly trying to give you some sort of stamp or prize or whatever.
No, not even that. At our level, it was just kids meeting up, parents dropping their kids off at the Hastings, and us just playing games against one another.
Oh man. That sounds chaotic. Totally, like just made up rules.
Oh, let me tell you about our Battle City rules of. All right, I get to pick one card out of your deck if I win. I had the worst time, man. I lost my Skull Archfiend of Lightning. I needed that card. That was a pivotal card in my deck, and I lost. And
you were playing Fiends?
No, I was just playing good cards. I was a kid. I just played big attack monsters.
Yeah, big number.
Yeah, that's right.
Big number.
Skull Archfiend of Lightning was like Summon Skull, but better. So, and he attacked over Jinzo. That was my like thought process. Like, I gotta get like something that can beat Jinzo. Jinzo was a plague.
He was a plague. You're like, damn, all my trap cards, I can't do anything.
I always play the smarmiest decks. I still have a photo of my deck that I pulled out before I reconstructed it for GOAT, but it was like Jinzo's, Gravity Binds, Injection Fairy Lily with Final Countdown and stuff like that. So just stall out the game.
You were the kid that I would never play at Hastings. I'd play you one time. I'd be like, still playing that deck? I'm good.
Your whole sideboard's built to beat it. Like,
I'm good, Chief. No problem, man. Holy moly. I would have lost so many cards to you. Oh, my God.
Response. Oh, man.
Response, man.
Imperial Order.
What do you got?
Drop those double wave motion cannon on turn 1, and I'm just sitting there with my thumb in my ass like, well, guess I lose in 4 turns. Don't have a phone to call my dad. Guess I just gotta sit here and deal with this all day.
Here, you can have a slice of my hot and ready.
Oh, good times.
Have you followed any of the MetaZoo news with it getting bought out or whatever?
I haven't.
I've been trying to, but it's like I don't even know where the updates are at this point, like because I haven't gotten any more of the documentation. So,
oh well, I think there's a few people that said they were going to spend $100K. I heard the Catch 'em All collectibles guy offered 100,000 for it, and then the Cryptid Zookeeper guy offered 100,000 for it.
Why?
That's not even enough to even like
Put a dent in their
How does
debt.
that work if Cardio's owed almost like 500,000 and these guys are trying to buy it for 100,000? Like what happens then?
that number might be a little low, but either way, neither here nor there.
Okay.
How I like talking to friends and people who are actually like, as far as the legal side, a little bit more versed in this, they would have the opportunity to like have their funds rectified that way, and then it would basically go in a bidding order. Like it's like, okay, well, you can bid on it, and if you buy it, it would have to be enough to cover at least the baseline. Like that's why a lot of the players and some of the people who did pre-orders, they'll probably never ever get their money back because it's not secured. You have the secured debtors or creditors, whichever the term is first, and then everybody else. So you would have to offer high enough to cover all that, and then you would still even have to pay like what else is owed on the back end. So we'll see.
So you're screwed. Or
yeah,
most people are screwed.
I just don't see how anyone could look at that and say, yeah, I think I could salvage that. I think I could bring that back. Gosh.
And also the group of people, like our echo chamber MetaZoo was so small. I don't think that people really understand how small MetaZoo really was. It's not like it was just like blossoming group of people. Like we had 300 people for Caster Cup, and then none of the towers did. I think the most was a little over 100 or so, or two.
No, it was. I think at Dark Tower, it was like 360 something. It was the largest event they've ever had.
Okay.
But like you just said, we never cracked 400 people. So you could probably nail down like the MetaZoo fan base to like 500 people, like if that, of people that played the game, people that collected the game, played and collected the game at like a level that you would consider them a fan, right? Not necessarily just like the person that picks up a starter deck or plays because their friend has cards or something like that. But yeah, so small, and so much money was being filtered into that company and that game, and just for nothing. It's
oh yeah,
crazy.
It's amazing what you can do with a couple of whales.
Gosh, right? That's like the thing, right? In mobile games, mobile games that have like gotcha and paid advancement stuff like that. 90% of your game's revenue is 10% of your player base, and it's just all the whales. It's just all the whales that spend thousands upon thousands of dollars that keep your game afloat, and that's pretty much MetaZoo. It was 10% were the people that were trying to make money by going to tournaments, and then maybe 5% were the people that were trying to collect like these hard to find sample cards or the chase cards in the booster boxes that I'm pretty sure half of them that they said existed didn't even exist, just so that they could sell booster boxes. And just what a trip.
Man.
Well, and I guess maybe less controversial news. Did you hear that Arita is doing some art for Magic the Gathering in their next set?
Whoa, that's cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I have not. The famously Pokemon artists, they don't really stray far from the Pokemon heat, so to speak, right? The I guess the logistics of it is, if anyone's unfamiliar, if you're a Pokemon artist and you draw anything Pokemon related that wasn't on a card or like a piece of merchandise that the company hired you to do, you get sued into the ground. You just don't do that stuff. But there are instances. I think there's a Rita. There's another one. I have a signature on the wall, but I forget. There's another guy that does a lot of artwork for non-Pokemon entities, which is really cool. But that's sick that Arita is getting to do Magic artwork.
Yeah. It's like a rampaging bear called Lumra.
Whoa.
So, but that would be kind of cool too, to even get that. And then like if you were ever to go to a signing, maybe you get him to sign the Magic card, right?
See, not gonna happen.
They can't do
no,
that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. So
it is cool. I have a buddy of mine actually here in Dallas, and for our Pokemon fans out there, he was behind getting the Japanese artists to come stateside to regionals. There was one group of people, or I guess one really family, that kind of spearheaded all of that. And he is opening up an art house for Pokemon artists to showcase their non-Pokemon artwork here in Dallas. So I don't have any specific details that I can share, but he is trying to, with some of the very prominent Pokemon artist names, people that have been drawing for Pokemon since its existence, trying to showcase their artwork that isn't just a Psyduck or a Charizard. So something to look forward to. I'll definitely share my my updates on that, because it's really cool to think about and convert, which kind of segues into that, that Magic and that doing that with Arita. That's really sick. And especially Arita hasn't really done anything outside of Pokemon since, well, forever. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I know he's got his own website. Like, I know he does other art, right? Like, it's not just Pokemon, but like, as you had said, I think they are pretty locked down. So the fact that he is doing anything with Magic's kind of, I'm sure he got several blessings or whatever. Or somebody got paid significantly. That was not just Arita. It had to have been through between Pokemon and WotC or whatever. I don't know.
100%. Yeah.
And similar, I guess, Dallas news. I wouldn't necessarily call it like TCG news
Dallas
per se.
news.
Yeah. But there's the Dallas Card Show. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Easton, but it's just that it's a card show in Dallas. And I mean, Kurt, you've been, right?
Many times.
Okay. Would you say it's like a sizable show, or is it? I mean,
it's I'd say it's mid-size. Okay. It's not as big as like a Comic Con or a Gen Con. It's for, again, some of our MetaZoo listeners, it's a mid-size Collecticon. So like Kansas City Collecticon would be a comparable size to Dallas Card Show, right? Like there was enough, but there's not a lot. But I definitely think it's worth going to.
Well, I was shocked to hear this. Somebody stole $2 million worth of baseball cards from the Dallas Card Show.
Yeah,
this recent one. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
These guys talk about like a hardcore coordinated effort. So these folks scoped out their mark all weekend long.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the end of the show on Sunday, they were working around the booth with the guy who had these really rare, we're talking, like Mickey Mantle type.
Yeah. One of one type stuff.
Really rare stuff.
Yeah.
And they were stacking chairs as if they worked there. So the whole time, and then they have they do the whole sleight of hand thing where they distracted the two guys working the booth with, two of their guys talking to them about something. And then the guy stacking the chairs, I guess, went off with their suitcase full of stuff. And the question I have though is like, and again, I think we've brought this up several times, even on this podcast, is like, how do you get rid of something like PSA or really rare trading cards? You'd think like they're fairly traceable. I mean, I don't know.
Dark web for sure.
I mean, you really don't in the public, right? Because the way that any graded cards are, you can just scan the QR code on the back and its entire provenance. You know where it's coming from. And like you have those certs. Certainly with $2 million worth of sports cards, they've taken pictures of that collection, right? So they have the certs. Even if you were to even crack open the slabs and just try and sell them raw,
what they look like.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You'd be like, that's my card.
Minor imperfection.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's a small indent on the top left corner, like some sort of indication that like that's yours, right?
That's crazy. I had no idea that happened. That's crazy.
And now I reckon 2 million is probably an overestimated number to some extent. Like I can't help but think like
insurance.
Yeah, maybe it's overvalued. But say it's even like $500,000.
Yeah.
That's
Still a substantial amount.
Holy
That's
smokes!
that's those people's entire livelihood, right? So
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
that's crazy. So yeah, Dallas Card Show is. I mean, it's big enough for that to happen. I could definitely see that happening if someone wasn't careful. If someone wasn't, I guess, getting the wool pulled over their eyes by the event staff at Dallas Card Show, and they're, oh yeah, they're just helping out. But I could definitely see that happening, for sure. That golly, I didn't even know that happened. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you would be interested in that, considering you've mentioned Dallas Card Show a couple times. So I didn't know if you were still going or not.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I go every time. It's cheap. It's right down the road from me. It's so the thing about Dallas Card Show, it's more. They've actually broken it up into two separate entities now. There's Dallas Card Show, and then there's Investabilia. Investabilia is like the trading card games.
Oh,
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, One Piece.
Investabilia, that's funny.
Yeah, Investabilia. And then Dallas Card Show, which used to be that, is still very sports dominated. Probably 70% like sports and comics, 30% everything else. And it's really cool because, Beckett is in Dallas. So Beckett does live gradings for your cards. And it's not just sports cards. It can be Pokemon or whatever you want them to grade. But Beckett is there, sort of similar to like how at big conventions, PSA will be at a convention and will live grade your cards so that you can kind of make that cool investment. So Beckett's there for that. And again, it's really evolved. And I know that it's getting bigger because they're charging more to get into it. So it's got to be larger if they're charging.
You'd hope so, right?
Right. But gosh, that's crazy that someone just swiped 2 million. But then, yeah, like you said, how do you sell that? You don't. Like, you have to, it's all got to be like private word of mouth. Like, how'd you get these cards? It's like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna give them to you for a good deal. And
my grandfather.
Oh yeah, your grandpa knew about PSA. That's crazy.
Yeah. This seems like a pretty recent cert. Well, he was he had this part of his trust and
collector till he dies.
Yeah. That's funny. I don't know if y'all have kept up with the GameStop trading card game buying or selling of their PSA stuff or not, but now GameStop's offering bounties on rare cards. Again, sports cards is what I have as the news on this, but there's like, I don't know if you're again, I know our audience isn't sports people, but Lionel Messi or however you pronounce his name, yeah, he's a really famous soccer player. So his GameStop's offering like $25,000 for one of his rare cards as well, which is kind of crazy because I think $25,000 might be all that GameStop's actually worth.
Yeah, at this point.
Right.
Like, could you imagine walking into a store and
I got the Messi?
They'll be like,
but you're the employee. They're like, oh, I got $1 and 3 nickels in the register and a old Baby Yoda figurine to give you.
Yeah,
and a copy of Black Ops 2 that I can sweeten the deal.
Collector's edition.
Yeah, I read that news. I couldn't help but roll my eyes.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I feel like you would get cheated by giving any of your cards away to like GameStop. Like, I just remember being a kid and I'm like giving my life's earnings worth of video games and consoles away. And it's just like, this is all I get for this. This is how you gonna treat me after I spend my hard-earned money with you guys. So I feel like $25,000 is probably like a tenth of what that's really worth.
Maybe and not maybe. So I've been following, like, so whenever they first started this whole thing, it was just Pokemon, right? They were only taking Pokemon slabs, and it really varied depending on your slab. Sometimes they would give you like 80 to 95% market value, and sometimes they give you 20% market value for your cards. And there were even stores that had like trade binders where they had singles, like, just raw singles that you could look through and purchase. It's like they were becoming a card store. But and I don't know if any of you guys saw that whenever it first started, they leaked the guidelines that your employees were supposed to follow whenever you are looking at these Pokemon slabs.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
It's crazy. It's like they're training them to be like PSA like graders. And it's like, there's no way that Devin who works a 12-hour shift at
Edgar.
GameStop is gonna be a PSA grader and like looking at corners and making sure the cert is correct. They don't care. They're just gonna look it up in the database and tell you and offer you what it says. So, God, it was crazy. But in the beginning, I think they've dialed that favorable pricing. I say favorable, but like, like 80%, 90%. I think they've dialed that back quite a bit after sort of the hype has been, on away. But it's still interesting that you can go into a video game store and sell them your Pikachu card in a slab. That's still pretty. It's still pretty cool, even if they're only going to give you $7 for it.
Yeah. Are there any Kickstarter TCGs that have come up that you've heard about or you've been thinking on, or I don't know, anything that's come to mind as of recent?
Well, you know about Neopets, but
yeah, but they're not a Kickstarter, were they? Were they? I don't know.
I don't think they were.
No.
I wish they were. Kickstarter Neopets cards, I'd be in on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to check back up on Drugimon sometime.
No, I haven't really, ever since we've all been burned by the zoo, it's hard to really get invested in an up and comer, right?
So it does blow my mind, like even checking right now, like it's just hard to figure out how much of it's all chaff or not, or speculation. But even this game, Super Battlemon, was able to raise 4K.
Hey, that's enough to send your scans to makeplayingcards.com. So
yeah,
you could run it. Why are you laughing, Easton? That's how they're doing it.
Somebody, I would feel so gypped if somebody sends in cards to sendplayingcards.com and I got a booster box or something.
No, you just get a stack full of cards wrapped in saran wrap.
That's right.
Oh my God.
With a nice little import from Shenzhen logo on it, and you're just like, dang, what's all this doing here? Oh shit, it's my Battlemon cards. I love these.
Not again.
Wait, why they got bicycle playing backs on them?
Oh man. Yeah.
4K is pretty crazy for something that I'm sure no one's ever heard of before. So
I love to check up on I guess I need to do some independent research, but like Alestrals, right? And Altered. I know those were Grand Archive as well. Those were all ones that
dude, Alestral, man, I got some stories about Alestrals, let me tell you.
Well, what's the T?
That's what the podcast is for, Kurt.
Yeah.
So Alestrals was created and run by this popular Pokemon YouTuber, right? And his name is A Drive. And he promotes a very positive experience, but I can't help but think to myself, he ran a grading company before this, where he would grade your cards, and he would post seemingly all the time about like, just sent away my Beedrill to his grading company, and I got a perfect 10. And it's like, brother, you own the company. I would hope you get a perfect 10.
My man was trying to cook the book.
But it was like, what do you expect people to believe? Like, it's a fair grading system that like lets you through all of that? Like, I don't understand it. And even with like Alestrals, they've kind of they're just riding off the backs of Pokemon, but it's all they don't have any in-person events. It's all webcam events, and people still buy those cards. Like, it's not in stores or anything like that. But if you reach out to them, and if you're a decently sized creator, they'll send you some free product. But just the way that he sort of conducted that grading service and kind of did the whole pull the wool over your eyes, check out my cool graded cards, just had me feeling like, and I guess that led into him like opening boxes of cards, right? And he'd be like, dude, I hit this ultra rare one in the case. It's like, brother, you own the company. Of course you're going to pull the best stuff. Like, what do you mean you're not going to show a bunk hit? That's not going to convince people to buy your boxes of cards, right? So it just always kind of rubbed me. Maybe the game is fun. Who knows? I've never gotten into the point where I wanted to learn it just because there's no support for it. But just him, doing booster box openings of the card game that he owns is weird to me. Like, why?
Makes sense.
Why would I care if you cracked the rarest card in your booster box? You can just cook the booster box. From MetaZoo, we all know that is very possible.
I was gonna say, did it feel like Andy showing off his binder of like random cards and samples?
No, I mean it's much more produced. Like he does go about it in a way that if you didn't know he owned the company, you'd be like, "Whoa, this guy, he's crazy lucky, and it's super sick. I want to buy Alestrals."
Okay, so it's like golden ticket.
Yeah.
Wilderness vibes. Okay, got it.
At least that's the vibe that I get. And maybe I'm reading it wrong, and maybe A Drive's gonna hit us with a cease and desist for this episode of the podcast. And if so, my bad, man. Sorry I gave you that MetaZoo advice. But it's just weird. But it made a lot. I think the Kickstarter made quite a bit of money, right?
Yes, it made. Let me see. I can pull it up.
Too much.
Yeah, too much. I'm more taken aback by this one. So right now, July 4th, this one ended, called Magi Nation. And
all right.
Yeah. Let's see here. Magi Nation is, let me see if I can find their pitch real quick. I'm more concerned about the money they made. So it ended July 4th and they made $266,000. They're out of
what?
They're out of Utah. What is Imagination Duel? It's a fantasy card game set in the Moonlands. Each region has its own strengths and specialties, creating countless unique combinations and strategies for each deck. Each player controls 3 spellcasters known as Magi that use energy to summon creatures, create spells, and equip mystical relics. That's Imagination.
Imagination.
Oh, it's like Imagination. Oh, okay.
Now you're understanding it. Now the pitch is working.
Man. That's the next thing. But yeah, still in July 4th, 2024, with your indie card game, you can secure $250,000. That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, especially given where we're at with all this historical information.
Look at these cards. Are these cards like AI?
Are you looking at the map? Are you looking at Magic?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Once you said about, I was like, let me look at this.
Imagination.
Is the artwork AI for this?
Doesn't matter. I mean, this doesn't matter.
Very much so. And I will point to the Divorced Dads trading card game that they tried to push.
There was a lot of people disappointed by that because
myself included.
What, the cards didn't match what he was pulling on stream, right? Or something? Like,
the content that the person that made it, the content didn't match the actual card game. Like the names were the same, but all the artwork was just like AI generated, and people didn't want that. People didn't want a card game. They just wanted to open a pack of cards and open like a burnt turkey and be like, yeah, check out my burnt turkey card. But they tried to turn it into a card game, with very goofy rules, and then all the artwork was AI. Like, who cares about that, man? You got to have some real artwork. But dude, Magi Nation.
Yeah, I'm personally not bothered by the AI too much, but as long as it's mentioned that it's AI at the very least.
So apparently, Imagination was a TV show.
Okay. Well, maybe that's the reason why it's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
An interactive card game for all ages.
You feel like you would lead with that in your Kickstarter, right? Or mention that, or maybe it is mentioned. I just didn't look into it enough. To answer your question about Alestrals, it made $1.5 million.
Man, A Drive stonking off of that.
Yeah,
he did it. He sold sand in the desert, boys.
I'm rich. Or richer.
He sold ice in Antarctica.
Mama, we made it.
We out the hood now.
And you know that he's sending those cards off to that Chinese manufacturer that's just got the MetaZoo hollow pattern, the first option that you can pick. You know it's that. Man.
Oh man. What are we doing? What are we doing?
We gotta reach out and get a press kit from him. We'll open some Alestrals and put it up on YouTube and give our honest review.
Oh, that'd be rad.
Yeah.
Offer him some marketing advice.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of card shows, I heard the Austin card show is happening soon. Easton, are you gonna make your way over to the Austin card show?
I might indulge. It's just, I don't know. I just miss the card scene. You know, for me, seeing like how Casher Society was, we were having events and different things, and it's just like it's not there anymore.
Yeah,
I miss that, and so I might trickle down to the Austin Card Show. Might get the juices flowing about getting back into cards, but right now I'm just like,
as long as it's not One Piece, man, I think you'll be okay.
Why? I was gonna say everybody is like One Piece.
Too expensive.
Oh, it's gotten even more expensive now. I might need to offload some of that OP1 stuff I got.
You make a killing.
Yeah,
just got to get in tune with the meta a little bit and then just sell whenever it's high. That's what I did. I bought in for like $100 and resold it for like $500 whenever my deck was meta. And then, so it's a Bandai game, right? So they operate off of a ban list. But the worst part about One Piece and what's really turned it off for me is they went back on the ban list. They banned a card because it was too powerful, and then due to public outcry, they reversed the ban and brought the card back. It's like, well, you can't do that. If the ban list isn't finite and you just fold under a month of pressure.
Me.
Yeah, right. Like,
watch me.
What's the point? So, all these people sold all of their cards because it got banned, and then a month later it's back. So now I have to rebuy all my $300 Gear 4 Luffy or whatever it was. Like, come on, man. That's messed up. They can manipulate their own secondhand market with that, which is crazy to me. I didn't think Bandai was that smart, but apparently they are.
Yeah, they're not just burning through cards like I thought they would. Well, I mean, still the 90s, yeah, like it's early on in One Piece. Like they haven't been out for that long. But I knew when I went to New York Comic-Con, I said, yeah, this is the one, because they had My Hero. I was like, man, this is gonna be pretty. And Dragon Ball Super and Poochie's. But I said One Piece, that's the one. And then it ended up blowing up and being super successful, which is great. But I still think that they'll probably burn it down in the next 2 years.
I'm going to talk about a game you never make any money in. It's One Piece. That you're going to 3,000 man regionals, and you've got a top 32 to make your money back. Like, it's like, I say that to Easton. He's like, oh,
nah,
that sounds like a lot of work.
A lot of work for not a lot of pay.
And they don't. Until you get to that top 32, they still don't pay out in cash. It's all cards. It's all prize cards. Now, those prize cards hold value because they're smart enough to put little limited edition numbers on them. But at the same time, you've got to do very, very well, which means you have to get very, very lucky in order to make any type of return.
And is it a best of one?
It is. It is a best of one.
Nah.
Yeah, exactly. You could just have a bad draw and you're out of it.
Nah.
Like, isn't that crazy? Having to go X-1 or X-0 to day 2 and just try and get into the money? That's crazy.
Ain't worth it.
It's not. The cards are cool. Cards look really cool. And if you're a fan of One Piece at all, then you'll definitely like the cards, but just don't get those expensive ones. Those are it's crazy how expensive it is. And this is coming from a guy that lives across the street from like the official One Piece store, where they do like sanctioned tournaments every weekend for it. They sell booster boxes at MSRP, and I'm still not in it. I'm like, I can't.
Kurt said, screw this.
Yeah, I can't this is the guy who's playing Neopets.
That's right, dude. You laugh, but you're gonna be rolling dice with your Chombi soon enough.
Chombi.
You're gonna be coming to the Neopets regional in North Carolina with me at the end of the year,
dude. I'll go for the barbecue at least.
That's right, brother. Get them with the barbecue. Stay for the dice rolls.
I'm cooking a brisket this weekend. I'm excited about it. I am.
How many
Yeah.
dice I got to roll to eat some of that?
At least 9. You
Oh,
gotta get 9 crits.
golly, that's gonna be a bit tough.
Yeah, I got a 9-pound one from HEB for what is it, $3.45 a pound. That's pretty good deal, I feel like.
Good deal on a brisket.
Yeah. That's my
That's positive EV right there.
yeah, exactly. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, dang, you go to a good barbecue restaurant these days, it's like $30 a pound for brisket. This is $3.45.
Dude.
Hey.
Yeah, the only difference is whenever, after your brisket's done, you eat your cards. Whenever I play Neopets, I get to put them back in my bag. So
Facts. Oh man. Yeah, it's been fun reminiscing about some of these. I'm looking at Kickstarter right now, and I just keep coming across these old games that were it's just so speculative. But like, I'm seeing like, what is it, Interstellar, Gem Blenders,
Gem Blenders,
Nostalgics.
Dude, what about Booster Brat?
Booster Brat. I thought the art for Booster Brat was kind of cool, but I didn't really quite,
Yeah.
They made $50K.
That's about it. Pollywog. Yeah, these are all great stories.
Pollywog, dude.
All the stories I heard about Pollywog, I'm like,
you got to get me in on that.
Akora too.
They got NFTs. I'm in, baby.
Yeah, I don't know what era we're in now. I think things have slowed down a lot. I think, and maybe that's just where I'm at too. But it's like the things as far as card games are that are coming out, they are a little bit more like substantiated. Something like even Neopets, right, or Lorcana or One Piece. They exist within some other IP, right? It's not just like, hey, here's the Kickstarter game we're trying to push, and hopefully it works out. So
it's hard, now that you think about it, there's not all the successful like card game IPs of the last 3-4 years, other than MetaZoo, really. I guess MetaZoo and Sorcery, I guess Flesh and Blood. Okay, well, there's a few, but like all the other ones are already established IPs that did well. Like I'm pretty sure the Star Wars trading card game is still doing well. It was at Collecticon. There were people selling Star Wars trading card game singles at Collecticon this past weekend. So that's got to mean that the game's doing something, right?
Not bad. Not bad. I was gonna say I think it's dying season. Not to be too pessimistic, but I think it's gonna be. We're in a summertime where we know that the LGSs and the card enthusiasts are going to be, traveling or family time or doing stuff. Like I think that this is a slow time in general. Then you layer that into towards the end of the year where I think money gets kind of strapped up. I think that a lot of indie TCGs and a lot of whales or people who may have hedged their bets on the wrong wagon, I think that this is going to be when the chickens come home to roost. Because
time to get out of it, right?
Yeah, because I just don't see it going well.
Snap back to reality,
Yeah, like even just the funding for Kickstarters, like you could be nobody back in the early days, and granted, you did get like COVID checks and different things like that to help push that market up even more. But now, like people can't even raise the money like it used to even get the roadway they need for these card games, let alone them actually fulfilling the stuff. Because now you're having issues with people fulfilling it because they're just not generating the amount of revenue that they thought they would have.
Damn inflation, dude. Man, long gone are the days of buying a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards for $3. We're on $5 a pack now. In this economy, that's crazy.
Yeah, thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
Now I can invest in my Tetris trading card game Kickstarter. Thanks, man.
My
Gosh. Crazy.
Oh man. Well, it was good catching up with you guys. Let's try to do this again next week, or who knows when. I don't know.
I'm down.
I'll see if I can get some more news scrapped together about people stealing cards. That's usually the one that I can rely on.
piece of
I'll say this much: as long as people are still stealing trading cards, that means the industry's in good shape, I guess.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, our story was about stealing sports cards, but I reckon I could have found a Pokemon theft story.
Yeah, they're a dime a dozen these days.
Yeah. You let me know one. I'll get you one tomorrow with nail polish.
Love it.
All right, friends, take it easy.
See y'all.